Bang & Olufsen have just launched Beosound Theatre, their most advanced and powerful soundbar to date, and this video will explain how to connect it to absolutely any audio or video device, speakers or headphones. There are two sections. First of all, for people with no attention span or in a hurry, I'm going to explain it very quickly. If that's you, all you need to do is go to soundsheavenly.com, click on the Contact Us page, type in what you want to connect to the theatre, and I'll email you back in less than 24 hours and explain everything you need. If you have a little bit more time available and you would like to know the detail of how to connect things, please come and join me for section 2 of the video and I'll explain everything. If you're new to the channel, I'm Steve from soundsheavenly.com, as you may have gathered. I'm a Bang & Olufsen owner, collector and lifelong fanatic, and as well as making the cables that help people to connect B&O, I'm on a personal mission to give people the enjoyment from their Bang & Olufsen products that I get from my own. So let's take a look at the back connection section of the Beosound Theatre, and I'll explain to you how to get absolutely anything working with this amazing soundbar. Incidentally, if you haven't yet heard all the details about the theatre, at the end of this video I'll link on screen to my initial first look review of the theatre, so it'll give you a bit more background about its capabilities, design and just what it is and what it can do. But for this video we're going to concentrate on connections. So starting at the bottom right corner of the connection panel is the mains power socket. The cable for this is included with the theatre and it should have the correct country specific connector on it, but if you do need a longer cable, I keep British, European, American, Canadian and Australian versions of this in a wide range of lengths up to 10 metres or 33 feet long. I'll link to all the cables that I talk about in the video in the description, along with time markers so that you can click to any part of the video and then get a link to the cable you need directly on the website. Moving up from the power socket is the stand connector. Now this is solely for the motorised floor and wall stands that are an option with the theatre, and if you purchase those options the cables are fitted as part of the stand, so nothing extra is needed. It simply plugs into this 12 volt stand socket. The next one up though, the little one marked USB 5 volt 1 amp, this is where things get interesting. This is not a regular USB-C data socket. What this is a stereo audio input. Via a little adapter, which again I'll link to in the description, this allows you to connect just about any stereo audio source or music system into the theatre to play it through the theatre speakers and also correspondingly to play it through any additional speakers you decide to add to the theatre. So what could you connect? Absolutely anything, but here are some popular examples. So by the way, a big thank you is due to everyone on the Bang & Olufsen Facebook groups, the B&O Discord server and beoworld.org, the B&O fan website, where so many of you have kindly responded to my question to say what you would like to connect. And it's those responses that have driven the next part of this video. So I'm going to try and answer every single situation that's been presented to me on those groups. So one of the most popular options for connecting is a classic Bang & Olufsen Beosound or Beosystem music player. So for example, Beosound 9000, Beosound Overture, Beomaster 5, anything with Powerlink outputs. And in that case, we'll connect a DIN plug to one of the Powerlink outputs, turn up the volume on the Beosound to around 50%. The speakers will connect to the theatre instead of to the Beosound, and then what will happen is this 3.5mm plug goes into the USB adapter and into the input of the theatre. You can also connect one of the later Bang Olufsen Beogram turntables that has a preamp built in via this DIN socket cable. And again, that goes to a 3.5mm connector into the USB adapter. Beograms with a preamp include the 3500, 4500, 6500, 7000 and the new Beogram 4000C. Earlier Beograms without a preamp, they can also be connected, and I keep a preamp bundle with cables available for that, so I will link that again in the description. Also non-B&O turntables with regular RCA phono outputs, they can connect via an RCA to mini jack cable and the same adapter. If they have a preamp built in, that's all you need. Again, I keep the preamps for turntables that don't have them built in. And this same cable is also ideal if you have either a generic non-B&O music system with phono tape outputs, or if you have something like Beomaster 5000, 5500 that has tape outputs, then you can easily connect that into the theatre via that same cable and USB adapter. Right, I think that's probably audio inputs covered. It's worth mentioning that you probably won't need to connect a phone, iPod or laptop via a cable for audio use, because the theatre has AirPlay 2, Chromecast, DLNA and Bluetooth wireless capabilities for streaming, as well as Spotify Connect. So you can get your wireless music into the theatre very easily with no physical wires needed. Moving upwards along the right hand socket panel, you'll see a section marked HDMI, and the first of those is marked TV ARC, or Television Audio Return Channel. This HDMI socket is reserved for the direct connection to your television, and the cable for this is included with the theatre, so you don't need to buy anything for that. Connecting extra inputs, so DVD or Blu-ray players, satellite receivers, for example, or additional set-top boxes is easy, and you can do that via an HDMI cable, and again I'll link to that on the website. Moving across to the top left corner of the socket panel, we have a 4-port internet switch, which is, I think this is a really smart addition. So basically you only need one internet cable from your router, and that will go into the in socket, and then from there your smart devices in your TV can take their internet connection from the theatre. Now the TV socket there has a cable included for it with the theatre, and if you're using a compatible LG screen with the theatre, then this will go from the TV internet socket of the theatre into the television, and that will allow the LG screen to be controlled seamlessly from your B&O remote, which is a really smart touch. For any other devices, so for the input from your Ethernet router, and also for giving smart capabilities to your Blu-ray players or satellite receivers, then I keep the internet cables in a wide range of lengths. As you move down from on the left hand panel, from that you'll see a very ambiguous marking, PUC A+B. So this is Bang & Olufsen's shorthand for Peripheral Unit Controller, A and B. And what this lets you do is control the devices you've connected in, the video devices you've connected into the theatre, via your B&O remote, regardless of which company they were produced by. And this is done via very clever software in the theatre, and it basically means that you get a cable with a little blaster or infrared transmitter which sticks onto your Blu-ray player or satellite receiver, and then you tell the theatre what brand and model of player you have, and it will send out the infrared signals to control it directly. It's a really nice touch, and you can control 2 devices that way. Each cable has 2 blasters, so one cable will go in there and it will control 2 additional products. And finally, as we move down to the bottom left corner of the socket panel, this is where it gets really interesting. PL1 to PL4, Powerlink. and this is Bang & Olufsen's shorthand for the connections to their powered loudspeakers. And this is where the real genius of the theatre comes in, because B&O have taken every single powered loudspeaker that they've produced since 1986 and they've tested it again in their laboratory. They've measured its maximum output level, its bass output capabilities, its magnitude and phase responses, so basically any quirks in the volume it produces at different frequencies and the delay to sound at different frequencies, and they've mapped it into the software of the theatre. So when you connect your existing B&O speakers to the theatre, they will now sound better than they did when they left the factory. And additionally, the theatre can intelligently spread the bass between every speaker according to its capability to give you a bigger overall sound than would be possible if you use those speakers with any other sound controller. This is really, really revolutionary. I can't stress enough just how much of a game changer this is to everyday use and to getting brilliant sound from your existing B&O setup. So don't throw away your existing B&O speakers. Keep them, plug them into the theatre and hear what they're really capable of. So this counts for every B&O powered speaker back to the Pentamark one in 1986 and the amazing little Beolab 3000s that you see behind me from the same era, right up to the present day with Beolab 50, 90 and 28, and also two of their unpowered speakers, the Beovox 1 and Beovox 2 ceiling speakers. You can connect other brands of speakers as well via a separate amplifier, but in this case they will perform as intended by the manufacturer. The theatre won't be able to improve upon their designed characteristics. So how do we connect the speakers? Well, if you have an existing B&O TV with the speaker cables already in place and the TV is 2013 or newer, you don't need to change anything. The existing RJ45 connections from the TV will go straight into the 4 PL sockets on the theatre. Incidentally, if you're wondering why there are 4 sockets, but B&O's spec sheet for the theatre mentions 8 wired speaker connections, it's because each of these sockets is stereo with left and right speaker connections inside one socket. So you can connect 8 wired speakers via the 4 sockets. If your TV is 2012 or older, then it will have the previous 8 pinned in Powerlink connectors. And in that case, it's nice and easy to get everything working via a Powerlink to RJ45 adapter, which again, I'll link to everything in the video description. And I have both single and twin versions of these. So for example, if you have Beolab 8000 speakers, where each speaker connects separately into the TV, one cable will go to each socket on the adapter and they'll share the same RJ45 input and work correctly in stereo in the theatre. You can also do wireless connections to the theatre, so obviously there are no wires for that. Later speakers such as Beolab 17 to 20, 28, 50 and 90 have Bang & Olufsen Wiser technology built in. In that case, simply program the connection into the theatre and you have a true wireless audio link. You can also add that capability to older speakers such as Beolab 4000, 8000 and so on, and that will be done via a receiver 1, which is a little converter box that Bang & Olufsen stores sell, and that will give you a wireless link through to the speaker. You need one receiver 1 box for each speaker, and then you simply will run the Powerlink to RJ45 cable here from the receiver to the speaker. This same cable is actually useful if you have older speakers and you don't have the cables in place, then this will run from the Powerlink socket of the speaker to the RJ45 input of the theatre. And if you have the newer speakers, so Beolab 17, 18, 19, 20, 28, 50, 90 and so on, then we have the RJ45 to RJ45 shielded Powerlink cable for those newer speakers. That covers most of the products that most people are likely to plug into the theatre, but there's one extra thing that I think is particularly useful, and that's the ability to connect headphones. So this cable will give you a 3.5mm socket for a wired connection to any headphones, has an RJ45 plug that will go into any one of the 4 PL sockets, and all you would need to do to play headphones is to send the front left and right or audio down mix to that socket. You could then, via the software in the theatre, choose to either keep the theatre's own speakers running or to disable them when you send sound to the headphones. So for example, if you have one member of the family who's hard of hearing, they can turn up the sound on their headphones whilst the rest of you have a lower level through the speakers. Or for just listening by yourself on headphones, you can mute the internal speakers and just have the headphones play. So every option's possible. I hope I've covered everything there, and if you're unsure in any way about how to plug in your products to the theatre, as I mentioned at the start, just drop me a line at soundsheavenly.com and I'll be happy to help. As promised, here's the link to the first look video explaining exactly what the theatre is, what it does and who it's ideal for. Thank you very much for watching.